Hello, I'm Erin Marcus, founder and CEO of Conquer Your Business, and I want to welcome you to Ready Yet? If all you needed was a step-by-step plan of what to do, you could buy a book on how to succeed and you would be all set. But here's the rub. You'll never do what it takes until you become the person it takes to do it. The Ready Yet podcast is dedicated to those who are ready to become the person who succeeds, ready to become the person who steps into more, and ready to become the best version of themselves. In the I'm Ready interview series, join me for inspiring conversations with people who figured out who they needed to be in order to achieve their dreams and were brave enough to be that person. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I have been so enjoying interviewing amazing people to talk about who they had to become to get the success that they've achieved and sharing that with everyone, because as we know, you will never do what it takes until you become the person it takes to do it. And I just love sharing those types of stories. Today's guest is Jen Coffel, and I'm really excited to have her here. I've known Jen for a few years now. I think we just met randomly. I don't even know how I found out about you, but I came to an Engaging Speakers Summit, not one of your regular meetings, but like one of your big summits, and met a lot of amazing people there. And we just kind of stayed in connection since then. You've sponsored my event. I've sponsored your event. We know a lot of the same amazing people. And I've been kind of a voyeur watching you do the different things that you do. So I'm really excited to have you here. Why don't you give everyone a little bit of a more official introduction of who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Erin. Well, I'm really passionate about just connecting with mission-driven entrepreneurs and helping them with their business and growing their business. I've built now 5 different businesses at 6 figures in less than 12 months, all different industries. And in all of those businesses, speaking has been one of the core marketing strategies that I've used. So I love to teach entrepreneurs how to use speaking as to speak their way to more business, really be a powerful marketing strategy. I think it is absolutely the most powerful one we can use right now, offline and online.
Absolutely.
So that's my world. Coaching and speaking and building.
And that's probably, and now to hear you say it that way, that's probably why I've just been so engaged with you and aware with you, because I feel the same way. I did a whole presentation this morning and people were asking me, what do I do? And it's like, speaking, go talk to other human beings, right? Speaking, that's what you need to be doing.
Everything from your 30-second introduction, which honestly, I think it's hard to speak for 30 seconds than it is for 30 minutes, as well as being able to really learn how to speak for your business. And I find a lot of entrepreneurs in that particular category, they tend to want or drawn to speak on their processes.
Yes.
And not on really what is going to create at the end of the talk, somebody saying, Erin, I really want to connect with you. I would like to have a conversation with you, and really booking those sales calls essentially, right? From your talk. A lot of times you get, well, Erin, that was really great information. Not that you get that, but that's what entrepreneurs get, and they're not getting great leads and connections and business. And, and that is really, I love to fix that, because I find that all over the place. And I really enjoy helping entrepreneurs to really, I've spoke for an hour and made over 100,000 in an hour, a free talk,
right?
And just because of client work that can come out of it. So that's how powerful it can be. It's really powerful.
Well, and here's the thing. I know that most people are, not most, I know there's a lot of people that are afraid of speaking, and I get that, but it doesn't have to be that hard. I think one of the things that people forget, I'm sure you see this all the time, is when you have your message, your business, your authentic self, instead of worrying about everything that it should be and everything that's perfect, and just connect.
I love what you're saying, Erin, because that's the truth. Like what I call what you're talking about, knowing your core genius.
Yes.
What's at your core? What did God create you to be? And then what have your genius? What have you studied to become really great at in your skill set? And putting those two things, what you were created for and what you've really developed and became good at, and put those two things together and recognize that's your niche. in your space, and the riches are in the niches, and feeling that sense of posture that I'm going to stand in my truth in my business and do what I was created to do, that I do exceptionally well, better than anybody else, that does it in that particular way. It's like your particular secret sauce. And for entrepreneurs, I think it's really hard, to figure out what that is for yourself.
I think it's easy and they make it hard. I think we all know this. And then
articulating it, that's hard.
Yes, articulating it can be very hard. But I work with so many people, I know you've seen this, who are so good at what they do, and it comes so naturally to them that they inherently devalue it because of this idea that if it's not a monumental struggle, it's got no value.
That's exactly why, and it's just semantics, right? That's exactly why I say that it's hard for some people to do for themselves, because they don't think how they were created and what there's, there's something really special about that. They're like that because it's just the fabric of who they are. And then if somebody else could say, that's what you do exceptionally well, and that's your special way of doing it, that's so exceptional. Like hearing somebody else, I get people they cry, they start laughing, they start saying yes and nodding their head up and down, just at the experience of having me say, this is what I see your core genius to be. It resonates so deeply, and they align so strongly with it that's how they respond to it, because they've never been able to say, this is it, because they don't see it. Just what you're saying is exactly what you're saying.
Well, and what you're describing, the way I like to refer to that is you're being witnessed.
I love that.
Right? Because so here's the thing: you're a religious, faithful person, and I'm not, and yet that's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's that being witnessed, seen for who you are, having somebody see that. And here we are where we're so uber connected, and yet we're not actually seen for who we are. And people are missing that. And so I do think those breakthrough aha, yes, cry moments, if you've ever gotten to feel that way, where somebody's seen you for who you were meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, I cry, Erin. Well, not boohoo cry, but tears of when I see the beauty of that, somebody actually standing in their truth. When you watch The Voice, or you watch
America's Oh my gosh, yes.
And somebody they could be missing teeth, and society might not say they're beautiful, but they stand there in their truth. And there's not there's some that are in their truth, but they're feeling embarrassed or not really postured. But those that are connected to who they were created to be, and they're using their gift, and they're just here I am. They are so beautiful. It literally makes me get tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I call that your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Your authentic self. And one of the things that I've really learned from these interviews, and I don't think it necessarily holds true in corporate, but one of these things I've really learned from these interviews is you can almost correlate success as an entrepreneur and willingness to embrace your authentic self.
So true. And that's exactly when I was just talking about with that core genius part, because to your point, how you just said that is your authentic self. When you know what that is, and you decide to make your whole business around that, your messaging, everything around that, everything starts to make sense too. I've noticed that with entrepreneurs, things that they were kind of trying to figure out or felt really hard, once they did it around that, everything made sense, and it was so much more clear, and it wasn't so confusing. It's kind of like what you started talking about in the beginning, where people are trying to do all these different things and thinking they're doing what they think they should do, versus it's just, there's a shift. Exactly.
It almost starts to feel like magic. Yeah, it almost starts to feel like magic when you see the light go off.
Yeah.
So how did you figure that out for you?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm religious, like you said. I would say that I'm spiritual, and I'm definitely faith. I mean, 100% know that I have a very personal relationship with God. And so, so for me, it's been a journey, and of really looking within, how did God create me? and matching that with where my desires have been in terms of developing skills and talents,
Mm-hmm.
and then putting those together. And so my core geniuses are speaking, coaching, and building communities. And, faith is a foundational thing for me that underlies those things. But I would say I've grown into it, and I've looked for the themes. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have lots of businesses. And so what is it that I, keep finding myself drawn to? And then also knowing what is my core genius, it's made it easier too to say no to certain opportunities, because it's really not my core genius, even though I could be competent at it. I may even do it with a spirit of excellence, but it's really not what I was meant to do. If that makes sense.
I think learning what to say no to ends up being, I think in the beginning, you really have to learn to say yes. But for people who have reached a certain level of success, there becomes a time when there's a switch over, and it becomes more about saying no.
That's true. Yes, I would agree with that.
Trying to keep yourself, once you kind of learn how it is that
because more opportunities come, right? And you can't be doing everything. It's like you're a person.
And you start to convince yourself, well, I can do something. Yeah. It's kind of like the old joke about wearing spandex. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
But it's the same type of thing. So these opportunities come.
And where are you going? Do you want to be wearing spandex?
Should anyone really be seeing you? Yeah, no, exactly. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I know I really enjoy having conversations about who you need to be in order to reach new heights. As founder and CEO of Conquer Your Business, I work with my clients at the intersection where what they need to do to succeed meets who they need to be to do it. If you would like to have a conversation about your business, please reach out to me at erin@conqueryourbusiness.com. So tell me, it's like a little bit of random questions here. Let's start here, because I want the rest of the conversation to go longer. What's one of the biggest obstacles that you've overcome? I think one of the things that we chatted before we got started here, that because of what we both do for a living, and there's some similarities there, and because we're good at marketing, because we're good at growing businesses, we put ourselves out there in a certain way that exudes confidence. And I tell people, because I have a confident cadence to my voice. I always have. I have no idea why. I just do. And I tell people, don't confuse the cadence of my voice with the idea that I haven't screwed everything up repeatedly. So what were some of the things that you've had to overcome to get to the point where you've had these series of successes?
I'd say hands down is really being the mom that I want to be, and building a business around 4 children. Like my second business, I built with a 3-year-old, 2-year-old twins, and a newborn when I started it. So
I have a cat and some dogs that are causing a
problem. So 4 kids, 3 and under. That was I would say overcoming those challenges. Like, how do you, certainly, like, to your point, definitely made mistakes and have some regrets in that area, like early on, and then have some wins too, and things like I'm super proud of. Just a little mom moment. So I've incentivized my kids. I've got 4 teenagers, and along the way I've always, don't drink, don't smoke, don't have sex, and don't do drugs. Like those 4
and just 4 things.
And if you get to 18 and you haven't done any of those, I'm going to give you $5,000. Now, not that, like, that was like just a personal thing that I wanted them to hold on to when they dealt with the peer pressure, just to have something for them to hold on to that would give them a little bit of incentive. And so I'm really grateful to say that, like, yesterday I was at the bank with my son. He turned 18 yesterday.
Oh my God.
And he did it. He is an 18-year-old, amazing kid, super talented, attractive, had a girlfriend now for like a beautiful girlfriend. And she even's like, I can vouch nothing. And I'm like, so amazed at him and proud of him. And so I think like, yes, I've made some mistakes and I have some regrets, but then also I see like I have had some amazing wins too. And all while I've been building businesses now since 1999 and I'm 50 years old. Like I can't believe I'm 50.
I mean, this is, 2020 was the year we all turned 50. I don't feel like what I used to think 50 was.
I know, right? When you're like 18, 50 is like, oh, super old.
It's not 50.
So,
Some of it is. I can't see anymore.
yeah, I got those too. I got lots of reading glasses everywhere.
So business-wise, what are you most proud of? Because here's the thing, I'm going to cut you off.
I would just say the lives changed. Yeah, I'm most proud of that. I'm most proud of helping entrepreneurs do what we were talking about, like have time and freedom. They went after their dreams so they can have time and freedom. And I'm most proud of, I had, like all those different Facebook groups that are out there helping people with entrepreneurs, and people look for coaches and business coaches. And, just last week I had 4 current and past clients, 4 of them recommend me to somebody that was saying they're looking for a coach, a business coach. And that was just one of those proud moments, like that totally unsolicited, like totally. And it's like the four of them on one thread. I was like, I felt so like just proud of like, wow, people are making referrals and I'm not asking for one, so just that type of thing just felt really amazing and felt really rewarding. And just knowing the way that people are getting to live as a result of how I'm using my gifts and helping them, I just love it.
So one of the things I want to point out, because I think it's so important. So you have had financially extreme successes in business.
Mm-hmm.
And I come out of that same background. My parting gift to my corporate job was helping wrap up what could have been like a $3 million deal. Mm-hmm. So we've had that, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so many people, so many entrepreneurs think that you either can have the financial success mindset or the service success mindset. Mm-hmm. They think these are 2 separate things. Mm-hmm. And to me, they're exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. Exactly the same thing. And I say that, and I know you have your own version of it, which is why I want you to share. My folks know that I volunteer every Friday at a wildlife rescue. They know that. And it's fun, and, pictures of possums and squirrels, and, of course that gets all the likes instead of all the stuff I work so hard for. But what I tell people all the time is, okay, while that's great and I love it and it fills my cup and it's absolutely disgusting, but it's what I do to give back, I can actually have a bigger impact helping wildlife if I make so much money that I can donate $1 million to wildlife rescue. Those 2 things aren't separate.
Right. The more money you have, the more people you can help. And if you're just, if you're one person, you don't have money, then all you really have is your time. Not that I'm not devaluing that, but if you have the money, you can employ a bunch of other people and exponentially increase the hours that are given to a cause or meet the needs. So the best way, and that goes back to what you just said, having a healthy money identity. Money is a tool, and we get our money beliefs and our limiting beliefs from a lot of places, including church and, family and, acquaintances and friends and all kinds of different places. So yeah, I totally hear you on that. And I totally agree. In fact, just to be super transparent about some of the things I've been dealing with this past year, you get to a place, I'm 50, right? And you start like looking at,
right?
You start looking at, okay, yes, it's super fulfilling. But I really want to make even a bigger impact in this world. And what does that look like? And I'm in this mastermind, and it's called the Elite 100, and it's 10 grand a month. And so the people that are in it, are really, some of them are billionaires, and, some of them are like, they can't live on 2 million net income a month. Or like, I can't live on that. I'm like, just the conversations that are had in this mastermind are very empowering, but very different, right? And then maybe what we would generally be having. And so we go in every week, we have this mastermind, and somebody comes on the hot seat and shares, and then we all come together and do a true mastermind, come to serve and see how we can help them. So I've been praying about something for about a month, and it came from hearing one of the entrepreneurs share. She had she has an accounting business, and she had about 2 years ago was making like 14,000 a month. Now she's making 2 years later 400,000 a month. So huge change in revenue. And she said that it's directly related to the amount that she's chose to start giving. She's giving from a gross income level, and she's giving with a purpose to put an end to starvation for children. She said that 6 million kids are dying a year, and this can't take 10 years to accomplish this goal, because that's 60 million children that will die. And she gets up every day and she works her accounting business with this very strong passion. She was on the hot seat and talked all about that and really nothing about her accounting business. And she does an amazing job. And there was testimonials of people just popping in saying, and not all of that, but then she saved me all this money, my taxes. I mean, she's really great at what she does. So she's got the goods plus this really strong passion.
Yeah.
And I listened to her and I was really admiring how like truly, authentically she felt about that mission. Like she literally, it's not like a story that she's using to market, you know, I'm doing this, right? It's really what she is so passionate about. And she's like, if I have to do it by myself, I will. Like, I am going to do this. I am going to put an end to this starvation among children. It's a whole food thing that she's, it's not her business, but she's found some organization that's giving whole food to children. So, I mean, she just talked for a long time about all this, and all of that. My takeaway was, I want that.
Yeah.
I'm in a place, I'm 50, and I do want to make that type of impact in the world. But what is it? Like,
what's your thing? What's your,
yeah. What is that thing? And I've been praying about it for a month. And so then I had a team of, a digital marketing team came to my home on Saturday. And so I had like a VIP day. They got here at 8 a.m. and they left at 7. I recorded like 11 videos, and we worked on my whole, like a funnel and, you know, all kinds of, you know, digital marketing stuff. And we spent a lot of time together. Like, they got to know me on lots of levels and all the different things I do, because I have multiple businesses, and they really got to understand all the different pieces of me. And so about 9 hours into it, I share with them about what I just shared with you, and how I really want to find this something. And these men were all faith follower, you know, they were all, I would, you know, strong in their faith. And so we were chatting about this, and I share with them that, you know, I've been praying about it for 4 weeks, and I just don't know what that thing is. So we get into this conversation, and guess what? I found my thing.
It's amazing when that happens, right? You can't.
Oh my gosh. This was just a few days ago.
I can't even. Okay, let's hear it.
So I got the God goosebumps. I was like, this is it. And so, just a little backstory. I've always been extremely passionate about education. Mm-hmm. And I've really been very intrigued. Have you ever heard of Landmark? It's a personal development thing. So I went to Landmark many years ago and met somebody that was really into like wanting to change the education system. There's an organization in the UK called Genius U. They have an incredible curriculum. They're going, you know, their IPO is coming out, and I'm wanting to invest in that company, because their concept is education from childhood through the entire life. So it doesn't just end at, you know, high school or college. And honestly, if I look at my life, Erin, the most I've learned has been in my adult years. Personal development, you know, all of the masterminds and all of the, you know, just power of the subconscious mind. There's just so many things I've learned about business. All of it has. I mean, I look back at my elementary and high school years, and I didn't learn nothing that really I'm using in my life.
Go public schools in the 70s and 80s. Okay. Yeah. I think we can say right there that I learned a lot more as an adult.
Right. And my kids, I've got 4 kids, and I'm looking at what they're learning. I'm thinking, this is so antiquated. And this is not like, how many young adults do we say they have no life skills? You see, unless the parents are teaching them,
Right.
what are we teaching our children? I mean, the whole system, I feel, is really broken. And we're just teaching them this: shut up, sit down, and listen.
And
like,
memorize this list of things.
right. And then regurgitate it. And then how are they ever using it? It's just, the whole thing is like total waste of time. And these children are so, I mean, there's so much potential there that we're not developing. So, okay, so take all of that backstory. I'm so passionate about this, and I've been like really passionate about it for a long time. And then one of the guys that was over, his name's Jeremy, he was the one that was recording all the videos, and he lives with a guy, his name's Luke. And Luke has a nonprofit that last year he went to Africa, and it's around education and innovation and teaching these boys and girls how to think for themselves, teaching the lay leadership and the adults that are part of the teaching community to the children about how to teach kids how to, around what their interest is. So like if one of the children wants to learn about YouTube and how to monetize that and use it effectively, then teaching them that. And so it's a very different model, but it was extremely successful. And so instead of like that whole missionary model of going in and just bringing money,
Right.
like especially in Africa, for example, Americans, we want to be really generous, and we know, like, gosh, $100 or $10, like what that would mean. That's like a year's worth, potentially $100. It could be just an enormous amount of money. Well, you can actually get somebody from Africa that if you're a tourist and you're giving those big chips to like one of the drivers or something like that, like you can actually cause them to end up being at risk or potentially losing their lives because they're targeted because somebody else wants that job. I mean, Americans oftentimes are not sensitive or even they're doing it in good faith. They want to just be generous in giving, but they have no idea how damaging and hurtful and dangerous it actually could be. But really the real answer is education. It's really coming in and equipping the country and the leadership and how to equip these children and teach them how to change, like how to really make a change internally with that real education and innovation. So I was like, yes, I totally am on board with that. And he said that this guy, Luke, and I have an appointment with him actually on Monday, has a goal of opening 30 schools in 2021. And he needs like $50,000. I'm like, well, if one school was 4,000, isn't that 120,000? He's like, I don't know. He's like, maybe, I think it's like different schools have different cost needs. He's like, he didn't know. So I have to talk to Luke. But that being said, I'm like, well, if we sell, like I have a 100K business blueprint course. I'm like, if I commit to selling, like I sell the course for $1,000, if I sell that to 50 people,
there you go.
Right. There's 50 grand. I just built 30 schools in Africa in this model. And imagine inspiring other people that have courses. Like we could do, like, instead of like Compassion International has Adopt a Child, what if like like somebody that has something they teach on and they commit, I'm going to adopt a school. And then a portion of, they don't have to give everything away. Like I may choose to give that all away, but they might choose to give a portion away. But over the course of the year, they could support a school and they can let the people know that buy this, like when you invest in my course, you're going to not get all this education, but part of those dollars are going to go towards educating whatever they, however we end up messaging and explain that. But the power and the potential here is literally to globally change the education system and what the world looks like, because there's a desperate need for it. I feel like, so I'm super excited about it. And I really feel like I found my thing.
That's awesome. One of the things I learned, so my corporate job was in financial planning in the financial services industry. And one of the things that became very, very clear to me, even in just this country, is the difference between the people who have something and the people who don't have it is just access to the information. Mm-hmm. That's the big difference. Access to the information.
Because they're hungry to learn. It's like, but what are we teaching them, So then get this, Erin. So then the next day, so I'm super excited. So I actually recorded a video on it, and I am going to go down this road, and I'm inviting any of the listeners, anybody that wants to join me and wants to give a portion of what they do in their education course away, please contact me, because I really am serious about making this type of impact. So the next day I go to church. Now I'm in church, and church worship at the beginning usually is about 20 minutes, and the pastor does his message, and then we close with worship. We're into worship like 45 minutes. The Holy Spirit is present and it is powerful. And he didn't even need to do a message. Okay. It was like, this could just be it. It was that powerful. But he did do a message, and he said, you know what, the spirit is really powerfully here. And I really feel prompted and led that if anybody has a need and a desire to get prayed over for a release, like some type, like maybe you're feeling blocked or limited in some way and you need a release, I'm going to lay my hands on you and just pray for you. Well, forget the 6-foot rule. It was like sardines up there. Okay. There was so many people are like, yes, me, pray for me. So I waited a little bit for to
there's no right. It doesn't run out. It doesn't run out.
So I like waited for the crowd to go down a bit, and then I go up there, and then he looks at me. Now, I've never had a conversation with him. We don't know each other. I've never talked to this pastor. He looks at me. He says, "You're a public speaker. Are you a public speaker?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said, now there's hundreds of people that he's done this with. Okay. Like he's just going, I mean, it was the most miraculous experience for me to observe and then experience. And then he said, do not let the world shape what you speak about. You are called to shape the world. And this was like hours after this revelation the night before. And he said, be bold and courageous. And there was more, but it was like, here, the confirmation, right? The next, and like somebody that I've never met before, you know, basically sharing a message from God to me, like, and telling me, like, you're a speaker. Like, I mean, of all the people, like, who comes up with that, right? You're a public speaker. It was such a, like, just a sweet moment, like, where I had been praying for a month, and like, then I get that answer, and then God just like confirms it through.
You got the answer, but the other thing you did, and I think this is where people, you know, the magic goes away if you don't. You made a decision in between.
Oh yeah, I'm doing this.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You made a decision. You just didn't get the download. You
right.
didn't just get the idea, the lightning strike, the impetus. You went, all right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know, you bring up a good point. And where did that even start? The seed of it was the inspiration of watching somebody else. Mm-hmm. You know, like hearing somebody else share their passion. Like her passion inspired me to question and ask, what can I do? You know, what impact can I make that I'm going to be that driven about? And then that, you know, consistency of praying over that. And then, yeah, I mean, thank you for pointing that out, because everything is like that, right? I mean, it's when we make the decision,
and take a different action, and that's why it all looks like magic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And it feels magical.
I can tell. I don't think you're going to sleep between now and your appointment on Monday with Luke.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. I'm so excited about.
Well, I can't wait to hear what comes out of that. It's one of the reasons I think that we have been drawn together, is we have those similarities. I love hearing your story, because it gives me kind of hope and inspiration more for my story, because not my whole drive to say that $1 million to wildlife rescue would have a bigger impact has then led me for the model behind my business, which is I want to be able to help 1 million people be able to donate $1 million to the causes that mean the most to them. Because just like how you're talking about, change doesn't happen in policy and trickle down. It goes up.
Absolutely.
Grassroots up.
Absolutely. And our children are literally are the future. Like, it's not a saying, it is the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. So so I know you don't have details today. By the time the podcast comes out, we got a little couple weeks here. I know there will be so much organized movement around this. And I love that you've shared this with me, because I not only love talking to people about what they've accomplished and what they help others do, but to find out what drives them, to show as an example that we can all just make such a big difference and have our own big life at the same time. Mm-hmm. So if someone wants to get a hold of you and learn more about this, or any of the other ways that you can help them, what would be the best way for them to reach out?
Probably the simplest is just to go to jencoffel.com or send me an email at jen@jencoffel.com.
Perfect. Love it. Well, thank you so much for being so open with your brand new story with us. I seriously can't even imagine a year from now we'll have to get together and see.
Yes.
See where that's at. I can only imagine.
I'm excited about it. Thank you for having me, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Ready Yet podcast. I get so motivated by the amazing accomplishments of the remarkable people I meet, and I'm excited to be able to share some of their stories with you. You can find more episodes of Ready Yet at your favorite source for podcasts or at conqueryourbusiness.com. And if you've already decided that you are ready to become the person you need to be to achieve your big goals, feel free to reach out to find out how I can support you in your efforts. Or check out the Work with Erin page on the Conquer Your Business website. I also invite you to share this podcast with anyone you know who loves to learn and be inspired. And if you're so inclined, I'd be absolutely grateful for any reviews you'd like to share as well. Thanks again for joining me. This has been Erin Marcus, hopefully inspiring and helping you to go conquer your big dreams.